We were halfway through some lukewarm leftover burgers from Tommy's Grill, sitting at the kitchen island like it was just another Thursday. Fries were cold, her Diet Coke was sweating all over the counter. She was scrolling her phone, barely looking up while going on about Tim's latest startup pitch. He wants to do some kind of AI analytics tool for logistics fleets. Says we could use it to pivot the company. She snorted. I told him he needs to pitch it tighter or investors will laugh him out of the room. I nodded, chewing, waiting for her to actually look at me. She didn't. Then she said it. Barely even glanced up. My business always comes first. You're second. Maybe third. My jaw didn't even finish closing around the last bite. I set the burger down. Wait, what? She finally looked at me like I was the one being dramatic. I'm just being honest. Did you seriously just say I'm third in your life? She shrugged, totally unfazed. Well, yeah. I mean, it's not personal. I've got priorities. That's just how it is. She went back to her phone, thumb flicking. No apology. No hesitation. That moment hit like a slap I didn't see coming. I wasn't even mad, not right then. Just clear. The whole picture finally snapped into focus. I was a placeholder. Backup. Not a partner. She had just told me exactly where I stood. And for once, I believed her. I pushed my plate away, not hungry anymore. My stomach felt hollow, but not from the food. I got up, rinsed my hands under the faucet, and grabbed my phone off the counter. Going for a walk, I said. She didn't even respond. Didn't even ask why. I stepped outside into the cool air, stood at the end of our driveway in the dark. Streetlights buzzing. I checked my bank app, checked my credit cards, checked the joint business account. I didn't make a scene. I didn't say anything else. But right then and there I drew my own line in the sand. She thought she was just being honest. Fine. Honesty works both ways. Mine would show up in action, not words. I didn't sleep much that night. Just lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling while she snored beside me like nothing had changed. But for me, everything had. Around 4 in the morning, I got up, made some coffee, and sat down with my laptop at the kitchen table. First thing I did was open a new checking account. Just my name, work address only. No paper mail, no shared login, no way for her to see it. I picked a bank she never used just to be safe. Once that was done, I started browsing office listings on Craigslist and a couple commercial real estate sites. Nothing big, nothing flashy. Just something small, functional. One desk, one door, one exit. I was done playing support staff in a business that treated me like a temp. By 6, she was up and already pacing the living room on a call with Tim, talking about vendor invoices and late payments. I was still at the table when she walked by, phone pressed to her ear, mouthing cash flow crisis, like it was some breaking news. She didn't even ask what I was working on. Didn't care. That morning, I left for work early, stopped by the bank, and transferred half of our business savings into my new account. Not a dime more, not a dime less. It was fair, we both had access to that money. But now only one of us was looking out for both sides. She was too distracted to notice. She had a whiteboard full of bullet points and a full-on TED Talk ready for her team about cutting costs and optimizing burn rate. She barely looked up when I got home. Saturday morning, I told her I was grabbing lunch with Corey from work. Total lie. I drove across town to meet with a commercial property broker I found online. The guy looked about my age, sharp suit, firm handshake, no small talk. I liked him immediately. I'm looking for something short-term, I said. Nothing fancy, just enough to run a solo operation. He nodded. Consulting or something else? Something else, I said, still figuring that part out. He didn't push, just started showing me listings on his tablet. Small suites in older buildings, basic amenities, cheap rent. Perfect. We walked through a place just off Highway 85. Concrete floors, old wood paneling, one window facing a gas station. Ugly as hell, but it was clean, quiet, and cheap. I stood in the middle of the room and could already see my desk against the wall, my name on the door, and no one else's voice in the background. This one available right now? I asked. Yep. Lease starts 1st of next month. Want to lock it in? Not yet, but soon. He handed me a brochure and a card. I slipped both into my jacket and walked out with a straight face, but inside, my chest felt lighter than it had in months. Back home, she was deep in spreadsheets and group chats, talking about vendor renegotiations and investor calls. I told her Corey said hi. She nodded without looking up. That was the moment I knew I could pull it off. I wasn't going to argue, beg, or blow anything up. I was just going to remove myself piece by piece. Quietly, cleanly, with no warning, like she had never seen it coming because honestly, she never had. Sunday night, I was fixing the garbage disposal when she came storming down the stairs holding her phone like it was a smoking gun. "We need $4,000 by Tuesday or the truck's gone," she said, breathless. I stood up slowly. "What truck?" "The company Tahoe. The one Tim uses. Payments are behind, and the lender just sent a final notice. If we don't wire the money, they're towing it off the lot." I wiped my hands on a towel. "So?" She blinked. "So, we have to fix it." "No. You mean I have to fix it?" She threw her hands up. "It's our business. I already told Tim we'd cover it." "You told him I'd cover it," I snapped, "without even asking." "It's not about asking. It's about responsibility." She crossed her arms like that sealed the whole argument. "This is a shared company." "Is it? 'Cause from where I'm standing, I'm just the safety net." She rolled her eyes and unlocked her phone. "Fine. I'll pull it from the business account myself." I leaned back against the counter, arms folded. I already knew what she was about to see. Her face dropped. "What the hell? Why is there only half in here?" She looked up slowly, confusion shifting into something sharper. "Did you move the money?" "I reorganized it." "You what?" "I've been reworking my financial strategy," I said calmly, "making sure my exposure's limited." "You what?" I kept my voice steady. "I'm not covering every mistake anymore. That's over." She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. "So you just took the money?" "It was a joint account. I took my half. That's what you always say, right? Equal partners." She opened and closed her mouth, like she wanted to argue but couldn't figure out where to start. "I needed that money for real business emergencies," she said finally. "You mean Tim's emergencies? It affects all of us." "No, it affects you and Tim. I'm done bailing him out." Her voice cracked just a bit. "I already told him we'd take care of it. You can't just pull the rug out." "You told him," I said. "You, not me." She stood there fuming, arms still crossed, weight shifting like she couldn't stay still. I could see her mentally going down the list, what leverage she had, what angle to play. And the fact that she was even doing that, calculating, instead of just talking to me like a partner, that told me everything. I waited a few beats. She didn't speak. Finally, I walked past her, into the living room, and sat down on the couch, grabbed the remote, turned on the news like we were done. She followed me in. "You're really not helping? At all?" "Nope. Even if it sinks the company?" I looked her right in the eye. "Then it sinks." She stared at me like I was a stranger. And maybe I was. Or maybe this was the first time she was actually seeing me. She didn't yell, didn't cry, just stood there, shaking her head. Then she turned around, walked upstairs without saying another word. I didn't chase her, because in that moment it clicked. She really believed my money was her plan B. Like I was just supposed to catch her every time she overpromised. And I'd let it happen over and over. Not anymore. She didn't come down the rest of that night. Saturday morning, she acted like we were just off track. Like it was a minor argument, not a seismic shift. She brought me coffee and sat on the arm of the couch, casual like nothing had snapped between us. "I've been thinking," she said. "Maybe I do need to restructure how I approach stuff. I've been a little too forward with business priorities. I can work on that." I didn't say anything, just took a sip. "I'm serious," she added, voice soft now. "You've always been supportive, and I've taken that for granted. Maybe I pushed you too far with the Tim thing." I set the cup down. "It's not about how you said it. It's what you said." She blinked. "What do you mean?" That night at dinner, you didn't misspeak. You meant it. I'm not your priority. Not even close. That's not fair, she said, frowning. You know how much stress I'm under trying to keep this company going. I didn't force you into any of this, I said. You and Tim built it. You promised him things using my name and my money without asking. That's not partnership. That's manipulation. She pulled back a little like I'd slapped her. I was trying to fix it. I'm trying now. No, I said. You're trying to manage me. That's different. She didn't respond, just stood up and went into the office, shutting the door harder than she probably meant to. Sunday was more of the same. Offers to rebuild the company together. Promises to shift her focus. Ideas about how we could realign. It was all rehearsed, like she was pitching an investor, not talking to her husband. I nodded through it, but I was already gone in my head. Monday morning, right before I left for work, she stopped me in the kitchen. There's a dinner tonight, she said. Some guys from a fintech firm, big money potential. Tim and I set it up to talk about strategic partnership options. It'd look better if you were there. I looked her right in the eye. I'm not going. Her lips tightened. Why not? I'm not putting my name next to something I don't believe in. You're being impossible, she snapped. Do you want the business to die? I want out. That's what I want. I grabbed my keys and left before she could say another word. That afternoon, I met with a financial advisor a friend had recommended. Office was in a basic strip plaza near my job, low-key, quiet, perfect. He was maybe in his late 50s, ex-military type, no nonsense. I laid it all out, the joint business, the tangled finances, the personal account I'd already set up. You're ahead of the game, he said, flipping through the documents. Most guys don't think to protect themselves until they're already halfway cleaned out. We set up a trust account with a clear paper trail. No overlap. He helped me push the business share I pulled into a high-yield investment portfolio. Aggressive strategy, high risk, high reward. I was fine with that. I also moved the lease deposit for the office I liked into a separate line item. I wasn't wasting any more time. I'll be honest, he said, signing the last form. You're going to take some heat for this. But it's better to take heat now than bleed slow for years. I nodded. Yeah, I'm done bleeding. When I got home, she was on a call, pacing the living room barefoot, telling someone we had promising investor movement. I walked right past her, into the spare room, and closed the door. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I owed her an explanation. I stayed in the spare room the next 2 days, keeping things controlled and quiet. She hated that I'd carved out space that wasn't hers to monitor. I could tell by the way she lingered outside the door sometimes, hesitating like she wanted to argue but couldn't figure out where to start. Wednesday night, I was finishing up some notes for work when she burst in without knocking. Her face was pale, eyes wide, breathing fast. We have a problem, she said. I set my pen down. Of course we do. She ignored the jab. The landlord sent a notice. We're behind $9,000 on the office lease. He wants it paid by Friday or he's terminating the contract. I didn't move. Okay. Okay? She snapped. This is serious. I know it's serious. Then say something useful. I looked straight at her. You need to figure this out. She froze. We need to figure this out. No. You and Tim need to figure out what you two broke. Her jaw tightened. I didn't break anything. Businesses run behind sometimes. It happens. The important thing is we come up with a plan. You already had a plan, I said. You promised money you didn't have. Again. That's not fair. It's accurate. She folded her arms, digging her nails into her own skin. You act like I'm trying to sabotage us. I'm trying to save what we built. You just walked away. I felt something sharp rise in my chest. Walked away? I've been carrying the weight of your mistakes for a year straight. What mistakes? She shot back. You really want the list? I stood up. Fine. The vendor you overpaid because you didn't have time to check the invoice. The marketing firm you hired without a contract and then couldn't afford. The 2 travel conferences you charged on the business card because they were too important to skip. And now the Tahoe that's 3 months behind because Tim can't manage basic transportation costs. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I kept going. And every single time, you turned to me like I was the bank that never closed. No discussion. No partnership. Just expectation. That's not true, she whispered. Yes, it is. And the worst part? You think it's normal. She stepped back like she'd been shoved. You're twisting everything. No, I said. I'm finally saying it directly. For a moment, the room was quiet except for her shallow breathing. She paced once, twice, then whipped around. You're abandoning the business. And me. No, I said. I'm stepping out of a fire you and Tim keep fueling. So that's it? She asked. You're just done. You drew the line, I said. I'm just respecting it. She looked away, trying to find a comeback that didn't exist. When she finally met my eyes again, hers were glassy with frustration, not sadness. You're making a huge mistake, she said. Maybe, but it'll be mine, not yours. She stood there another second before slamming the door on her way out. I heard her stomp down the hall, talking to herself, drawers opening, something falling to the floor. But she didn't come back. I didn't chase her. Thursday morning, she cornered me in the kitchen. I was making toast, trying to keep things normal, and she stepped right into my space like she used to when she wanted something badly. Can we talk? She asked, voice softer than I'd heard in a long time. Go ahead. She twisted her hands together, staring at the countertop. I know I've been intense about the business, and maybe I haven't always shown appreciation for what you do, but this is getting out of control. We're supposed to be a team. We haven't been a team for a long time. We can reset. Just please. Her voice cracked. Don't leave me to deal with all this alone. That's exactly what I should do, I said. Because it's yours to handle. She swallowed hard. I'm asking you as your wife. And I'm answering you as the man you told was third in your life. Her eyes closed like the words physically hurt. I grabbed my jacket from the chair. I'm done being the solution to problems I didn't create. She reached for my arm. Wait. I stepped back. No. You handle this. I walked past her, out the door, not looking back. And for the first time, she didn't follow me. She didn't shout or bargain or start another argument. She just stood there in the hallway, silent. And I kept walking. Friday afternoon, I got home before she did. House was quiet. Mail stacked by the door. I was halfway through heating up leftover pasta when she came flying in. Keys clattering against the wall. Purse half open. Face red. We need to talk. Now. I didn't even look up from the stove. Of course we do. She dropped her bag on the counter. I just left the bank. They won't approve the business loan unless we have a cosigner. I turned the burner off. So? Her eyes locked on mine. So I told them we'd have one. You. I didn't move. You did what? It's 20 grand. We're out of options. Tim's credit's trash, and I don't have the score to carry it alone. They said with your name on it, it's a go. No. She blinked. No. Not co-signing. Not applying. Not touching it. You don't understand. I understand exactly. I cut in. You promised another financial commitment in my name without asking. Again. It's for the business. Our future. It's for your mess. And I'm done funding it. Her voice shot up. Don't you dare act like you're innocent in all this. I am innocent in this, I said. I didn't mismanage the money. I didn't promise banks things I couldn't deliver. I didn't put my trust in Tim like he was the damn CFO. Her whole body tensed. So what, you're just done? You'd rather see it all fall apart than help one last time. Yes. She slammed her hand down on the counter. You can't just walk away. This is our business, legally. I will take this to court if I have to. I let her threat hang in the air for a second. Then I walked to the drawer, pulled out a slim black folder, and set it in front of her. What's this? Everything. Bank statements, withdrawal logs, timeline of who moved what, when, and why, emails, texts. It's all there. Her hand hovered over the folder like it was radioactive. You want to bring lawyers into this? I said calmly. Be my guest. I've documented every step, every dollar. Her face turned bright red, jaw clenched tight. For a second, I thought she might throw something. Instead, she grabbed her keys, muttered, "Unbelievable," and stormed out. I didn't chase her, didn't call, just watched from the window as her taillights disappeared down the block. Then I picked up my phone and dialed the broker I met the week before. "Yeah," I said when he answered. "I'm ready to make an offer on that downtown suite. Same place we looked at near the gas station? That's the one. I'll take it." I transferred the earnest money from my new investment account while we were still on the call. He said we'd have the lease finalized by next week. I stood there after, holding the phone, looking around the kitchen like it was a stranger's house. I wasn't even angry anymore, just done. The kind of done that doesn't come with a fight, comes with action. And my next move didn't include her. I was 2 blocks from the office suite when my phone lit up. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again 10 seconds later. I answered. "Yeah. Hey man, it's Tim." I pulled over, kept the engine running. "What do you want?" "I figured we should talk before this goes further. I know things got messy, but we have history, right?" "No, we had a business. That's different." He paused. "Look, I know she's intense. And yeah, mistakes were made, but we always pulled through before. This is just another storm. You walking away right now, it's bad optics, man. Bad optics." I laughed. "You think this is about image? I think you're bailing when it counts most. No, I'm finally holding you both accountable. I've kept that company from collapsing a dozen times, and all I got for it was being treated like a walking ATM." Tim's tone shifted. "You're betraying the team. You know that, right?" "There's no team," I said. "There's you two, and then there's me cleaning up your mess. I'm done." He exhaled into the phone like he had something else to say, but I hung up before he got it out. 10 minutes later, I was in the law office lobby, waiting to meet with a guy referred to me by my financial advisor. Clean place, neutral carpet, calm receptionist with a plastic smile. The lawyer called me in 5 minutes later. Guy looked sharp, no nonsense, maybe mid-40s. I laid everything out. The accounts, the lease, the business split, her threats. He listened, nodding now and then, jotting notes. "You've done most of the hard work already," he said. "Separating funds early? Smart move. Most guys wait too long. I don't want her touching any of it. She won't. Not if we move fast." He drafted a liability shield for anything tied to my name in the business. Helped me file ownership disclaimers for any future debt she or Tim took on. I signed the paperwork on the spot. By the time I left, I felt like I could finally breathe without waiting for the next hit to land. That night, I came home to a surprise. Every financial folder we had, tax returns, vendor agreements, loan applications, personal and business, was spread across the kitchen table. She was sitting there, hands folded, waiting like it was a goddamn intervention. I didn't say a word, just stood there staring at her. She pointed to the papers. "I just want you to see everything. Full transparency. No secrets." I stepped closer, scanning the mess. "Now you want transparency? I'm trying to fix this." "No, you're trying to make me feel guilty." She stood up, palms open. "I'm trying to remind you what we built. Together. You already reminded me. Remember dinner? When you said I was third?" Her face twitched. "Yeah," I said. "That was the moment you stopped being my partner. And now, I'm just returning the favor. I didn't mean it like that. But you meant it. That's the part you never walk back." She looked down, lips pressed tight. "You really don't care what happens to any of this?" "I care about myself. That's new for me. And long overdue." She turned away, gripping the back of a chair like she needed something to hold her up. I didn't stay to watch her next move. I left the table exactly as it was and walked out of the room. Let her sit in it for once. I was setting up my desk, secondhand but solid, when I heard the knock. The suite was small, maybe 300 square feet, but it was mine. My name on the lease. My name on the door. The knock came again, louder. I opened it. She stood there, winded, holding her phone in one hand and a manila folder in the other. "You got a minute?" she asked. I didn't answer, just stepped aside and let her in. She walked in slow, looking around like the place offended her. "So this is where you ran off to?" I didn't bite. She sat in the chair across from my desk and set the folder down. "The company's getting evicted. We got the final notice this morning. 30 days. I leaned back. "And?" She opened the folder and slid a spreadsheet toward me. "I put together a payment plan. Based on what each of us brings in now, your part would be $1,200 a month. Just until we stabilize." I actually laughed. Not a bitter laugh. A full, shocked laugh. "You're serious?" She stared like she couldn't believe I found it funny. "It's not outrageous. It's proportional. I'm not bankrolling your bad planning. Not anymore. You're still legally tied to this," she snapped. "That lease has your name on it." "Not anymore," I said. "I had it removed. Lawyer handled it 2 days ago." Her face froze. She hadn't seen that one coming. "You can't just turn your back on everything," she said, voice rising. "We built that business together." "No. I kept it alive while you and Tim dragged it underwater." She pushed the spreadsheet closer. "I'm not asking for a miracle. Just support. Just 1,200. You're not hearing me." I pushed the paper right back. "I'm not supporting anything but my own work. That's it." She looked at me like she didn't recognize who I was. Maybe she didn't. "You're my husband," she said quietly, like it still held weight. I stared at her. "You used that line when it suited you, when you needed something. Now it doesn't mean a thing." Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. "You made me a backup plan," I said. "So don't act shocked when I stopped showing up." Her eyes filled, fast and sharp. She stood up, grabbing the spreadsheet like it meant something. "I can't believe this is who you've become." "No," I said. "This is who I always was. You just stopped paying attention." She turned toward the door, blinking hard. "You'll regret this." "I already regret letting it go this long." She yanked the door open and walked out without looking back. I didn't stop her, didn't call out, didn't feel a damn thing. I locked the door behind her and went back to my desk. The next morning, I got up early, grabbed coffee from the corner spot downstairs, and walked into my office with no texts, no crisis, no noise. 3 months of that. Quiet, predictable. My consulting business picked up fast. Word spread quick in my industry, sharp, independent, doesn't waste your time. I landed 2 steady clients by the end of the first month. By the second, I was covering all my expenses and then some. No more split accounts. No more "we need to talk" ambushes. Then, right after the 3rd month mark, the papers came. Certified envelope. Thick packet. Name spelled right. Everything neat and aggressive. She wanted the works. Spousal support. Half my assets. Half the retirement account, too. I dropped the packet off with my lawyer the same day. He called me later that evening, chuckling. "She's late to the party," he said. "The only thing she's entitled to is what existed before you broke off. And we've got records of that down to the day." "You sure?" "Positive. Everything she's demanding either doesn't exist anymore or isn't hers. You protected yourself at exactly the right time." When the court date came, I walked in steady. She was already sitting there, thinner, tense, hair pulled back so tight it looked painful. She didn't smile, didn't even look at me. Her lawyer did most of the talking. Mine barely had to say a word. Everything was clean, documented, dated. The judge asked a few questions, nodded along, then signed off. She got a fraction of what she wanted, a sliver of the account we used to share, and none of what I'd built since I walked away. She didn't argue, didn't protest. She just signed the paperwork with a shaky hand and stared down at the table like it had betrayed her. When it was over, I stood up, buttoned my jacket, and nodded once. She looked up. Her eyes weren't angry, just tired, like the weight finally landed on her shoulders, and she realized I wasn't going to carry it anymore. I walked out without saying a word. A week later, I ran into an old mutual contact at a networking event. We hadn't spoken in years, but she came up during small talk. "Heard about the company," he said, swirling his drink. "Shame it folded like that. Tim filed for bankruptcy last month." I blinked. "You're serious?" "Totally. Office is gone. Last I heard he moved back in with his sister. Real mess." I nodded. Not surprised. I didn't ask about her. Didn't need to. There was no satisfaction in hearing it. No revenge high. Just relief. Steady, quiet, overdue. The truth was, I didn't care what happened to either of them anymore. I had no skin in their game. They could fight the fire they lit. I'd already walked out the door. A year later, I still started every morning the same way, quiet, clean, and mine. Coffee brewed slow in the back corner of my office, sunlight spilling through the windows. My desk was simple, no clutter. My phone didn't ring with someone else's emergency. My email wasn't flooded with fake optimism or last-minute fires. It was peaceful, and I didn't realize how badly I'd needed that until I had it. The business? Solid. Consulting gigs kept rolling in. Clients paid on time. No debt, no drama, no surprise meetings about things I had no say in. Everything I worked for stayed under my name, in my accounts, in my control. That morning, I headed out early to grab gas before a client call. Pulled into the BP off Parkview and got out just as another car pulled up on the opposite side of the pump. It was Tim. He looked thinner, older, clothes wrinkled like he'd slept in them. We made eye contact, both kind of frozen for a second, then nodded like two guys pretending this was casual. "Hey," he said, stepping out. "Didn't expect to see you." "Yeah," I said, keeping my tone even. "Guess we both still need gas." He chuckled. "Yeah, rough year, man. I'm sure you heard." I did. Company tanked hard after you left. Lease defaulted. Creditors piled in. Couldn't keep the lights on. He glanced down. "I guess we weren't as stable as we thought." I didn't say a word. Just let him fill the space. He looked back up. "If you're ever thinking of starting something new, I'd be open to teaming up again. Clean slate." I tightened the gas cap, gave him one long look. Not a chance. He didn't argue, just nodded like he'd already expected that answer. Fair enough. I got in my car, started the engine, and drove off without looking in the rearview. Some people needed to learn the hard way. Me? I'd already learned. Never again would I let myself be anyone's backup plan.